Another cycle that we are going to talk about is nitrogen cycle. Well, as you know that 78% of the Earth's atmosphere it is made up of nitrogen. However, most of the living organisms they use this nitrogen in form of ions, such as ammonium or nitrate. And this takes place through certain types of bacteria where they are going to convert this nitrogen gas into ammonium and nitrates through a process which it is known as nitrogen fixation. There are certain types of bacteria also which they are found in the aquatic system. They are known as Cyanobacteria. These cyanobacteria they are responsible for the fixation in the aquatic system. As you can see here that when nitrogen needs to convert into ammonia, or this nitrogen cycle takes place mainly inside the ground. As you can see here, as I told you before, that there are certain types of bacteria which they are known as the nitrogen fixation. Yes, here, this nitrogen fixing bacteria, you can see here that it lives in the roots of the plant. It's known as nodules. Others which they are move freely inside the soil. They are responsible for converting the nitrogen which they are found in the atmosphere into ammonia, where they take hydrogen which they are found inside the acidic soil and convert them into ammonium. So these two types of bacteria take the nitrogen which they are found in the atmosphere and then convert them into ammonia, take the hydrogen, acidic hydrogen from the soil, and then convert them to ammonium. After that, some of this ammonium may be used directly by the plant, but most probably that the ammonium which they are found in this place, they are taken by another type of bacteria which is known as nitrifying bacteria as a source of energy to convert them into nitrite and then to nitrates through a process which is known as nitrifying process. After this, the nitrates which it is taken by the soil bacteria given to the plant, which convert them into proteins and amino acid. After this, they are eaten by the animals, where after eating, of course, the decomposers, which they are found in decomposers, of course, I mean the decomposers, they break down the dead organism, or the excretions comes from the animals, and then convert them to ammonium, return back to the soil in the form or and convert them into ammonium in a process which it is known as ammonification. Let's say another types. Yes, here in another process where after converting the nitrates, there is another process which it is known as denitrifying. There is another bacteria which it is known as nitrifying bacteria. This nitrifying bacteria uses this nitrates as a source of an oxygen source. They release the nitrogen to the gas into the atmosphere as a waste product, and they take this oxygen and they release the nitrogen as a waste product. Some of the nitrogen also which they are entered into the atmosphere as a waste as a result of the atmospheric fixation by lightning, where during this lightning the energy breaks down the nitrogen molecules in the atmosphere, and then after this nitrogen recombined with the oxygen in the air and they form together nitrogen oxide, where the combination of this nitrogen oxide with the rainwater, they form what we call it nitrate, which it is absorbed by the soil again. Unlike other cycle, the phosphorus cycle does not include an atmospheric portion. Instead, most of this cycle takes place below the grounds, as you can see here in this figure. The phosphorus cycle begins when the phosphate it is released by the weathering of the rocks, where the term weathering means the rocks when it is broken into smaller pieces. After the rock was broken into smaller pieces, it releases phosphate, which it is already taken by the fungus and the plant, which they are producers, and of course this phosphorus moves from the producers to the consumers through the food web. When these producers or consumers, they are die, of course, the decomposers. These decomposers break down the organism, and this process release phosphorus back again to the soil, or of course to the water. Okay, some of this phosphorus, this means that after weathering of the rocks, and then it is used by plants and fungus, they are returned back after using by the consumer, and then so they return back to the soil when the decomposers break down this breaking down this the dead organism, which is contained mainly phosphorus, and then they return back to the soil. Some of them are leaching into the groundwater, and then they are these sediments eventually blocked with to form a new rocks again over millions or thousands of years. These sediments eventually become rock again, and the cycle starts again, and it is released as a phosphate. It is released by the weathering of the new formed rocks. Of course, let me say that mining and agricultural runoff is also add to the overall amount of phosphorus in the environment, as the excessive flow of this phosphorus into an aquatic system from sewage and agricultural runoff can cause a significant problem. Thank you.